Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, your paranormal portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
And welcome in and welcome to my dear friend Mr. Steve Stockton. Hello, buddy.
Hey there, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little nervous because I don't know what we're going to cause tonight or what kind of walls are going to fall down or roofs. So disclaimer, anything paranormal that happens tonight is not
We're not
our
responsible.
I mean, come on.
Staff nor
Steve.
management of this channel cannot assume responsibility for any paranormal activity that occurs in your home or place of business while watching this stream. There you go.
Perfect. I'll take the management. Because, hello, chat. Let me get my chat up in here. We've got all these comments already. Hello, dear chat. Let's go back just a titch, try to get some hellos in here to everybody. Rachel, hello. Laura, hello, darling. How are you today? Unseen Paranormal Podcast, welcome in. Maybe you can give us some feedback on some of the things we're going to talk tonight. I'd love to get your take. DC Joey, almost said hello, Journey Through the Gate. That's me. It's been a day. So, Steve and I want to take you back a little bit. I'm sure he's got stuff to say because it's been a week and we've only chit-chatted on the phone and in Messenger and text messages and stuff like that. But we had some wild stuff happen last week. And I went ahead and did something special. Hello, darling. Hello, Laura. And, we're going to wait for a couple more people to pop in here. But last night I had Jeremy Enfinger on, and he's one of my go-tos because he first says I'm a skeptic, which is good. It's very healthy. He doesn't disbelieve. He's just skeptical of all the things he sees until he picks it apart, and if there's a way, not debunk it, but he told a little story last night about, because he's worked in the Black Vault and stuff before, and I've told you about that, Steve, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. So usually it's UFO stuff, and, so if somebody gets a picture of a UFO, or somebody gets a picture of, what they think is a ghost, or something else, they can send it to the Black Vault, and then somebody there takes it and sends it out in different directions to people who don't know each other, and then it all comes back, and then they tally up the thoughts and everything. So, is it from 1 to 10? Is it a 3? Is it a 7? Is it a 9? And I thought that was really kind of neat because you don't have anybody that's, trying to get somebody because they don't like the person or something along those lines. I really like that idea. And a couple of times throughout, the past, 7-8 years or so, I've, turned to people like that and said, Jeremy, this happened. What do you think? Am I thinking, I want to think outside the box. I don't want to just think it is what I hope it is. You see what I'm saying, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
So I went to him about our little Titanic venture, and I thought, hey, what would you think about this? And, I explained it to him. I explained your idea and everything. And then I said, but what do you think about this? So maybe now is a good time to explain from your end what happened last week and what your take on that is. So you want to start from there?
Yeah, well, you just kind of hit me out of the blue with that. You want to talk about Titanic Ghosts, and it wasn't anything I'd really ever even considered much, but I think you said you had the idea in the shower a couple days before.
I did. It was very profound. See, that was the sticky part. You know how we're always talking about telling stories? We tell the whole thing, and that way a piece that we might omit from the story to make it shorter might be the important piece. And that was one of the things, because I'm in the shower Saturday morning. I can't get Titanic out of my head. You know how you and I always have like premonitions. Yours are more vivid and prevalent and lucid than mine. I get little zaps, like don't go down that road, or something's going to happen at the grocery store today, don't go, or whatever. But this Titanic, and I'm like, why am I thinking Titanic? And right away I just think Titanic Ghosts. That's a great subject. To the point I jumped out of the shower, just a towel, and picked up the phone and texted you, hey, you want to do Titanic Ghosts Monday? And Steve and I, that's all I have to say.
Sure, I'm down.
Yeah, I could tell Steve, you want to talk about tin cans? I guarantee you we could do an hour and a half
We could
on
do it on
vintage
tin
tin
cans.
cans.
Absolutely.
I guarantee.
Where to find them, who collects them, what to look for, what to stay away from.
Yep, the labels, the ones you used to be able to peel off and there'd be a recipe inside. You remember those? That was cool.
Or coupon.
Yeah, or a coupon. Ooh, forgot about the coupons. Yeah. See, I told you we could do it. We can go on for a while. So that was the thing there, was in the shower. And that night I thought that was funny, because Laura Stevens even said she was actually in the shower at the time. We were talking all about Psycho and getting the movie, and then being Psycho, and also getting premonitions or getting a clarity of thought, whether it's being like you're grounded because you're in water, or seeing paranormal stuff, or having that happen with water running and things. We touched on it. Then we told about my oldest son, I thought was possibly reincarnated from the Titanic. It's not something we push all the time, but it just, between 3 and 8, come on. He knew too many things about it, things he wouldn't have known. Just the way it was really close to his heart, and that, and that stuff. So I texted you, and then what happened after that? We did the show.
Yeah, and then we were talking about, we got off onto the curse of the Titanic, how it's purportedly cursed. And I was talking about some of the different places that have Titanic exhibits. I've seen the one in Las Vegas at, was it the Luxor? I don't know if it's still there or not. And they've supposedly seen the shade of a lady on the grand stairwell there, and the lookout guy, I can't remember his name, the one that let them know a little too late about the iceberg. They've seen him up there walking around, and some other things. And then I also mentioned the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge. And literally, I think exactly the time that we were talking about it, the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, they had an iceberg wall display collapse and sent 3 people to the hospital. I never did find out any more information on that, how injured they were. But if I'm in a museum and something falls on me, yeah, I'm going to lay there on the floor. They're going to have to call the ambulance and then call my lawyer. So
yeah, absolutely. You first see your doctor, then call your lawyer. I'm hoping that, because I dug too and I can't find anything. And how weird it was, the one we were really kind of focusing on Pigeon Forge a lot, because that was where a lot of the ghost sightings. I believe it was Frederick Fleet was the one who felt guilty all his life about not warning about the iceberg sooner, and he wound up hanging himself in his garden or something out of guilt.
Not good. Ruined his day.
Yeah,
but he did. He was just riddled with remorse.
Yeah, and it was on that one. I think he was the one in the Las Vegas. I don't know if they've seen him at both, but I'm pretty sure they saw him the one in Las Vegas. It's got that big display where it's the whole, front end of the ship, and the stars and how it would have looked that night and everything. And he's often seen there. But we were also talking about the Bruce Ismay photo that keeps falling off the wall, and they see it jiggle and just crash to the ground. And it won't be broken, but it'll be on the ground. They don't want it up there, apparently. And different things like that. And we're talking all about this, and I'm going to sleep. It's about 12 o'clock at night here, and I get a message from my son, the one I said I thought could possibly be reincarnated from the Titanic, and probably many other things too. He sends that message. So it came through him, which I thought was weird, because it didn't pop up on my phone, and I have the same news thing. And it was just weird. He was the one who sent it to me. And then all this stuff happened. So Steve came up with a great idea about the coal, because we were talking about the coal and how people will buy souvenir coal and then take it home and have problems thereafter. Seeing apparitions at the window. The one man that she was covered all in what she thought was dirt, and of course we could think it was coal now. Maybe an engine near, coal. I don't know what they call them, coal shovelers.
Coal tender or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was wearing coveralls and was covered in soot, although she described it as dirt.
Right, exactly, right on. So that was the whole thing, and it kind of blew our minds. And then Steve put up in his Facebook group, because he's got a lot of wonderful people on his book group, and said, "Did we actually cause this? Maybe manifested it to happen? What does everybody think?" So there's the story.
We got a lot of responses. Everybody was blown
Did.
away. Everybody was
Yeah.
like, "Wow, that's bizarre."
At what point does it stop being coincidence?
I don't believe in coincidence, especially that specific at that moment. We just happen to be talking about the place and the curse, and then something happens. And Eric, Unseen Paranormal Podcast, said there's actually 5 injured. 3 were transported to the hospital, 1 with a head injury.
Oh,
So
bless her heart. Bless her heart. So we're real sorry.
we didn't
We
do it on
didn't realize
purpose.
we didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't like we were, and we certainly wish no harm, because everything that night we were talking about is the heart of it, like how gut wrenching this is for, it was 15 souls lost. And everybody in the chat was, just on board. I believe you had asked for volunteers, like who would be willing to volunteer to take a box of things you had collected. You're starting to collect them, replicas and a piece of that coal, and then take it in their home and see if they could see anything. If anything happened, we'll journal it. We'll do, I'm sure it'll grow as time goes on. Pass it to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. And hope it come back around. I wanted to say something like, if you want help, follow the box. Follow the box. Just if you can be attached to things, follow the box. Don't go back to getting all, tangled up and lost. Follow the box. We're going to get you help. And I thought it was great that Jeremy, he's not been able to do a lot of paranormal investigation because, lockdowns and COVID and where he is. And he lives in an extremely haunted house, from what I understand from yesterday. I mean, he's got things apporting out of his kitchen, showing up someplace else, and things peeking around the corner, and, and of course he just goes back to sleep. He's one of those. Golly. But, and so him and I are talking about what his ideas for it. He said he'd love to get the box first, do some readings on it, get some, data on it, and, measure the energy, all the different stuff, put like a 24-hour camera, laser grids, because he's got all the gear, in a secure environment, and then send it to the first person. And then go back around and come back and do it again to see if there's any difference. Has it picked up energy? Is there more readings? Is there what's going on? Is there now something going on around with the camera? And then it comes back to us. And then we as a collective do our best to try to help anybody who might want that help. That's what the whole thing was about. And last night we're talking to Jeremy. Every time we talked about the Titanic, now you can go back, I think it starts at 133, there's one right before that, and all the way through, but I have pinned the comment in that video of the time it starts. Watch the left side of his screen. Now, a light starts, first the camera starts messing up. Like, it's like trying to focus, unfocus, and he's not moving. He's just sitting there talking, brick wall behind him, and a light starts coming in, and like it starts like a mist, and then it starts growing, and then it turns into this pinpoint shaft. I mean, as sharp as a sword, yeah? And almost like right across his eyes, and he's telling me the sun, I thought the sun was going down and peeking through the blinds at first. Then it happened again, and then it happened the third time, every time we talked about Titanic. And I don't know, what does everybody in the chat think about that? I mean, if anybody saw it last night, I know Laura was here, and you were here, Steve, you saw it.
Yeah.
That was bizarre, and it was very prism. If you notice the top of it, it was all different colors, like it was almost its own rainbow. It was really cool. I have no I have no I got nothing. What? I got nothing.
I
uh,
just, yeah, it was strange. It was like almost like a lightsaber or something. It was just a
yeah.
shaft of high energy light, but
Hmm.
within a very defined area. There wasn't much of a glow or anything coming
Mm-mm,
off of it. It
mm-mm,
was just like literally a spear of light.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it was all three times we were talking about the Titanic, because he was talking about the experiment too, and how much he really liked the idea, and different ideas he had about it. And we were
And it
talking amongst
looked
the
like it
chat.
was poking him right in the eye or right in the ear, maybe. It was entering his head, it looked like.
Absolutely. And Unseen Paranormal Podcast, there is a lot of energy around the Titanic, so that is very interesting. I would say, yeah. And, we're talking about 1912 here, over 100 years. We were talking all about how over the debris field, which is south of Newfoundland, right?
Mhm.
And they see the orbs dancing above the wreckage. Sometimes different ships and stuff that go by will get SOS signals and radio interference, and the SOS signals don't go back to any known ship or boat. I mean, it's just nuts, you know. Um, I was looking for sounds because usually with us it won't show up in the live feed, but Steve and I will usually go back, and any of our shows that we've done over the years, there's always some kind of weirdness going on. And somebody will tell us, did you hear this? Shh. While we were talking. Well, we didn't hear it, but we heard it on the replay, yeah? And stuff like
Yeah,
that.
heard voices in there. So we've had hosts ask us like, okay, which one of you had somebody talking in the background? I'm like, there's nobody here but me and Mulder. And you're like, I'm in my garage by myself. If it wasn't on
Mm-hmm.
your end, we don't know.
Right. We don't know. And, now it seems like
Right.
almost like talking about the Titanic is overshadowing the times we talk about the Black Eyed Kids. Because with Black Eyed Kids, we talk about that every time we tell the stories about that.
Something
There's a
happens.
knock on my door. The one time we had it, everything, my phone was 98, it went to 0. All my laptops shut down. Everything just went hooey. And I mean, just different stuff like that. Steve's had vases fall off the table and pictures come off the wall, and I don't know. Has Mulder ever flew around the room, or I don't
No,
know?
that's yet to happen. But had knocks at the door, scream heard throughout the entire house that went out the back door. Yet nothing showed up on my security cameras or anything like that. That's the first time I talked about the Black Eyed Kids publicly.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so I don't know what this is. I'm thinking it's either at that point in time they wanted the attention, like, yes, we want help, or it could have been some jerk on the other side of who was talking, maybe antagonizing, and it pushed it. It just doesn't, it just seems like it can't possibly be a coincidence. And then we get this stuff with Jeremy, so there's no telling what's going to happen tonight. But because of it all, I also wanted to kind of show them and kind of get everybody in. I know Sue will be in here in a minute. She's from the future. She'll be here soon, I'm sure. But everybody in here is somebody's having some problems with something. What did they say here? Something went out on them. They had to start the show over. I guess it's okay here. It seems like they fixed it. I guess it was just a problem on that end or something. Let me see here. So I don't know what everybody's thinking. The past week is weird. Okay, somebody had some. Let's see here. Unseen Paranormal Podcast. I have had quite a bit of activity at my house the past week, which is weird because it has been weirdly quiet lately. Well, that's the thing. I honestly think, I don't know how Steve feels about this, but right now I feel like the veil is really thinning. I can't explain why. I think consciousness is being raised. I think everybody is getting more of their third eye kind of stuff. We're seeing things we wouldn't pick up before.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little more activity too. Are you, Steve?
Oh yeah, I've seen it pick up in a lot of people that I know, that some involved in the paranormal scene and some that are not. are seeing an increase in stuff, and just it's getting really weird out there and in here, inner space as well as out in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
A lot more people are reporting things happening at home, and I don't know if it's because of all that's gone on the past couple of years. People have been home more to just happen to notice things that they might not normally see, or
Yeah, it's
maybe
good.
even be there to witness. But either way, something's going on. There's some kind of shift in the paradigm. There's a palpable feel to
You
it,
can feel it.
just in general. Yeah.
Without a doubt. So I'm thinking Claire Broad's going to be my next one I go to get her opinion on this stuff, because this is the good part. The good part is we've got a lot of people in chat. They're always here. They're like-minded people. They might have different views on different things, and that's great, because that's what you want. You want a collective. But everybody's heart is kind of, will feel for these people, have felt for, the lost and, the stuck. And everybody loves to hear a good ghost story where we figure out who the ghost was and they find out what they needed and they move on. Because what if it's you? What if it's, I've had people call me up and go, how do I not be a ghost? Just tell me how to not be a ghost. I don't want to get stuck. But that's the thing. Everybody's heart is kind of lifted when we think of some cool thing like that happening, where somebody is not lost anymore, they're found. And you deal with that all the time on missing persons disappearances. I mean, it's a human being that's lost. And it could be you, it could be your family member, your kid, your friend, somebody Jake down in the corner, whoever. Once you get that human connection and you start realizing these aren't just names, they're not just pictures, they're people. They're people, especially on this ship, who were at last minute got a ticket to get on there, or we're trying to get to a new world to start over, and like maybe connect with their family, or brought their families over. So many stories I've read on people having a chance to start over there, took everything they had. A whole town, I think, lost like 100 and something people. I forget the name of the town, but they wouldn't even talk about it for like 100 years. They were just so devastated by it. I mean, if you have a small town of like maybe 300 or 400 people and you lose 120 something, that's huge. Because everybody was trying to help everybody get over and get a job, and in Ireland at that time there wasn't any jobs. So it's devastating in so many ways. You hear heroic stories of men giving up their seat for a woman with 2 children, or I heard one yesterday that just took me right off. I mean, I can't, it just hurt so much, and I could just so connect with it. When I started getting into the animals, we don't think about the animals being on the ship.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody brought, usually the second and first class, because who else could afford to pay for a pet to be on there? Certainly not steerage, But, and all the pets were mostly kept down where the luggage were, and the crew took care of of the animals. And the rich ones with servants would go down there and get them and walk them on the promenade and stuff like that. But there was a lady who had a Great Dane, okay, and that was her friend, and she got in a lifeboat. She went down, got her dog. I could see me so doing this. I'd let them all go, but got her dog and got on the lifeboat, got the dog in the lifeboat, and some officer came by and said, the dog's too big, you can't take him in the lifeboat. And she said, very well then, and she got out with the dog. And 3 days later, the rescue ships that went out to collect the dead found a woman wrapped arms and legs around a Great Dane dog, and they died together in frozen water. That'd be me.
No words for that.
That'd be me. That's what I want everybody in the chat to think about, because when we do this experiment, I know we've got the volunteers, and Steve's going to be taking all them down, and we're going to handle that as gingerly as we can. Maybe one person, the person sending that person the box is the only one that has your address, and you can connect each other through emails and such. I want to put a letter in there that is collectively written by all of us, where the person can kind of state the same thing. Each person can take it out of the box and read it, and then add their own intent and heart to it. But something about we're all here collectively to help you as a collective. So anybody who wants to follow through, please let us know if you have anything you want to say. Here is a recorder or whatever equipment you have. You don't have to go get special equipment for this. All the equipment I think you're going to need, you carry with you every day. But whatever you guys do is your own thing. That's fine. But I think there should be some kind of a repetitive thing for each. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, some sort of tracking and journaling or diary or something, and then just everybody write a few lines and maybe a notebook or something in there
Right,
to record
right.
stuff, and then also like to put a cassette recorder or something, a micro cassette recorder, or I think they're all digital now, just where
Hmm.
people can record their thoughts and things too, either
Right.
write them or record them, because you might pick up something on the recording that you won't think about.
Right, and I thought too, wouldn't it be cool if, if people could, if it works out fine for them, and of course this will change and grow and evolve as it goes on, but just another idea I had that we could do a check-in, on the Titanic experiment, maybe live. I could send them the link to StreamYard, and, they could come on and tell us what's going on with them on a Monday night, and then they keep it for a week, journal, do what they want to do, and then send it out, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we could connect in there. But I'm really looking for good ideas in the chat. There's a couple questions, and I promise, Danielle, we'll get to that one. But I did something for us today because I wanted everybody to kind of be on the same thought page, and I'm pretty sure we are. But I thought it would help out if anybody doesn't mind. I have a little video I put together just to get us kind of grounded for this. And would that be cool with everybody if I play a little video here?
Well, sounds good to
It's
me.
okay. It's about 3 minutes, so if you need to go pee or something, do it now. Hurry up, get back. You're gonna miss it, or get your drink, get your adult beverage, whatever. But here's my take and where my heart is on this, and I think you might want to just grab a tissue or two, and Steve and I'll be right back after the show. Okay, here we go, guys. Well, there you go. You know what I mean? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. That's what it's all about. That's where we're at. So let that appease, let them know if they are hearing what we're saying and doing. It's all about you guys. It's all about the lost looking for a hand. It's all about, coming together collectively, you know, to try to help them. And I believe that can be done. I mean, I've walked on battlefields and it was pretty scattered and just claimed my intent and my heart, and they listened. Not all, but enough. And a lot more than you would think. So I know this can happen. And I know we can do it as a group, and I think it's a wonderful thing to try, and it's about time. And the people you saw there, maybe seeing some of their faces, we all know some of the stories about Unsinkable Molly Brown, about Bruce Ismay pretending to be a woman getting on there and him having to live with that karma because they're none too happy with him. All of the heroics, the band that played, and I'd like to thank Mario, my husband. This is the second time that I've gone to him and said I want a song and want it to sound like this. For those who don't know, Mario wrote my intro music, the podcast music. It's called Spirits Rescue, and this is what I said to him. I walked in and I said, "Can you write me a song? I really don't want to get the copyright here or the license over here. I need an original song." He goes, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "I want it to sound haunting and ethereal, but with a little hope at the end." And
At
I want,
first I thought it was Near My God to Thee, which is what the band on the ship was
right. Well,
playing.
this
You
one
could have probably
is,
got by with that. I think that's in public domain.
it probably is, but that he did the original podcast music, the one I play with Crispy comes out and all that stuff. That's the song I'm talking about now. So this time I went to him and I said, "Look, I want Nearer My God to Thee. I want a low tone. I want it to sound like I think they played it on the ship. Because you go in and you can't use it, copyright, I don't want to take somebody else's stuff." So I said, I want it to sound like this, and I want it to sound like the strings and only stuff they had, and kind of sad and a little haunting. And he said, sure. He goes to sit down 15 minutes and comes up with that on a Korg keyboard. There are no strings. He was not playing any strings. He did it all with a keyboard and
That was
on a
good.
Korg. Isn't that amazing?
I'm
So that
surprised he didn't slip a little of the James Bond theme in there, though.
I am too. He said, I wanted to throw down some piano on it so bad, he said, but there was no piano on the Titanic that night, probably in the ballroom, but certainly not on deck. So that was his way of showing homage to the band that played on, and you saw their pictures in there. And I think that violin was found. I don't know how they found it. I don't know where they got it from, but it just sold for like $4 million not too long ago. Yeah. But to just play on like that, so many heroics we'll never hear about, seats that were given up. And you saw the Astor in there, and you saw, of course, his pregnant wife. He never made it off. She got off, and just so many things. And the Strausses, who said, you know what, we can't go together, we're staying together. And that's in the Titanic movie. You see them clutched and laying in the bed with the water coming up. So just it's heart-wrenching. And let's see what the chat has to say about all that. I hope you enjoyed that. And again, thank you to Mario for spending all that time. It probably took him 20 minutes to do that. He's amazing. He's an amazing musician. But he did that song for that video for us. So
Thanks, Mario.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Pretty talented to pull that off. He says, "Here, come listen to this. Is this okay?" Tears coming out of my eyes. Yeah, I'd say it's just fine. But hello to you, Oracles and Beyond. He said, hey to you and me, Steve. Yeah, a lot of people really like that. Uncommon Belief, that was beautiful. So everybody gets it. This is where we're at, and it's all about them. If we can help one, it's worth it, right? And if we can help somebody else connect in, keep in mind, It's not just, if somebody else carries on, it's not just for the Titanic people. If they bring somebody else along, they can come too. So there you go. I don't know if you want to say anything else about that, Steve. It's all yours. I'm going to see if I can fix this chat
Yeah,
here.
that was great the way he put that together. That one shot that was in the middle with a woman and a little girl sitting on a bench. That they had just lost her husband and the little girl's father, and they survived and made it. But just the look on their face, so you can just that pain and anguish and still being in shock and
Yep.
not knowing what they're going to do next or how they're going to do it or where they're going to go or anything. That's just
Nothing.
that all those pictures hit me that way, but that one just really it's tugs at the heartstrings there.
And the lady with the baby, and then she's got a little girl and a baby, and you're thinking that's hard enough just going on a ship, because I don't know how long it was supposed to take. Do you, Steve, off the top of your head, the trip itself?
I don't.
I know they were trying to make it in top speed. Does anybody in the chat know how long that was? Yes, Rachel Rodriguez right here says, absolutely, I want to talk about this. A third-class passengers was tragic. Yes, it was. There are rumors. I don't know for sure. I think they were trying to check to see if they really locked the gate on them so they couldn't get up and fill those boats. And I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah. I was happy to see that 3 dogs survived.
Yes, 3 did. I knew of them all. One was a Pomeranian. They were all small dogs because the owners kind of tucked them under and hid them, to sneak them on the lifeboats because they weren't letting everybody go on.
I was just thinking about that when you talked about the lady and the dog. If I'd had Mulder with me, I would have put him under my shirt or something.
Absolutely.
He's going with me.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, I had a dream, and it was probably when I've had it 4 times now, where it's made me think, but it was about I'm on the Titanic, I'm in 3rd class, and I've got my sons, and they were real interested to see the kitchen. Like one of them was interested in how the food was done, so they let us do our little tour, and it was so lifelike. I mean, at one point in time, I touched the chrome whatever top to something, it was cold. I mean, that vivid of a dream. You could smell things cooking, and some guy was chopping something, you could smell the aroma of the chopping the vegetables. It was that kind of wild dream. And it speeds up to where you start seeing people running, and I wouldn't let my boys go back downstairs. I said, don't go back downstairs. It was almost like I knew it was going to happen. And this is going to sound nuts, but I'm grabbing things like ropes and things as we're running, and we're running back toward that kitchen. And my son's going, we're going the wrong way, we got to go up. And I said, well, before we go up, we're going in here. Because when we went on our kitchen tour, I saw where they kept the big tubs of lard, like good old Crisco. And it was big tin cans filled with lard. I guess they fried with it and everything else. And I took the lard and I put it all over the kids, in their hair, on their face. I made them rub it all over their legs and their feet, put their socks back on. And we covered our bodies in lard. And I knew that would keep the heat of your body in. And a little bit of that cold off, And I think some swimmers actually do that with Vaseline or something.
They've got something that they coat themselves with that makes them a little faster in the water, and it does help them retain heat.
Right. And then as we're going up around the thing, I said they're never going to let us in the lifeboats. We're going to tie all these deck chairs together because they floated. And I can remember putting them on the deck chairs and staying warm and getting rescued. It went all the way through. So who knows? Maybe I was on it too, and maybe a lot of us were. Because if you believe in reincarnation, why not? Maybe that's why it tugs at your heartstrings. Because you and I have talked about that before, Steve. It's like we have more for it than against it. If you made us, pick, it's highly possible to be reincarnated, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Just on a side note here, Danielle was asking about a show with you and Sean and I. And I know one time you and I went on his show.
Right.
And then he's been on my show, I think, when you were on there. And they all run together after a while. But it was Sean that was talking about he heard a woman in his house singing a hymn from the 1800s. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Sean. That's it. He told me that story too. And I can't remember if I was with you at the time or what, but absolutely it was. And I think more than once he's heard her singing the hymn. So it would definitely be on Sean Graham's show, and that's Chasing
the Truth Paranormal.
There it is.
And
There it
he's
is.
it's sometimes kind of hard to find, but if you look for Dark Waters Network, you can find it that way.
Right. What happened to the lifeboats? Rachel Rodriguez is asking what happened to the lifeboats. I don't know what you mean by that, Rachel. I can tell you this. There should have been, I believe, 46 to hold all the passengers that were online and crew. And I've heard two stories, either for room, to have more promenade room and lounging room and things like that. And some of the pictures I showed how in first class everybody was sitting, of course, in the lounge chairs reading and being served and stuff like that. It was much different for third class. So there was only, I think, 16. So, and those boats that were lowered and had people in weren't even full to capacity. So that's what I know about the lifeboats. Now the Carpathia came through. I forget how long they were in the lifeboats before Carpathia came and took a lot of them from the lifeboats in. And you'll see some of those pictures being taken of them pulling the lifeboat, the people from the lifeboats and stuff. But I also have heard that there were stuff that was going on, that there were other ships in the area that could have been closer and could have responded and didn't. We'll never know why. Lots of stories around that. You know anything about that, Steve?
No, but it did make me think of another question, though. Did they preserve any of those lifeboats? Do they have any actual lifeboats from the wreck at any of those exhibits? I don't remember.
I
I
don't
know they
know.
had lifeboats, but I don't think it was the ones actually from the Titanic.
Yeah, I don't know because I've never been to the exhibit. My
Yeah,
son,
I'll
the
have to
one
look
that.
into that and see if any of those exist because, not just, were there people in it? There were people trying to get in it and
Mhm.
heard stories of, the people in the lifeboats pushing people away
Because they were afraid it
because
was
they
going
were
to get
going
knocked
to
over.
sink it. And that was one of the reasons they were not loading them to capacity. They were trying to get as many people in there as they could and then get away because they knew when the ship sunk, it would take those lifeboats down with it. It
Hmm.
would create such a,
Yeah,
I don't know what you call it, a whirlpool or
right. It's like a
when it
suction.
plunged. And yeah, yep.
Yeah, it just pulls you down like in a sink or circle of the drain. Exactly. Now, Susan Woodcarver here says that wasn't a dream, Cisco. You were connecting. It was too. Excuse me, I had to sneeze.
Let's see.
Thank you. That it was too vivid. I agree. There's something up with that. What it is, I could begin to guess. Like it was a memory, or somebody was showing me and projecting their memory into mine. So I could see what they went through. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to look at that. Maybe my son was reincarnated from it, and that was his memory and vision, and just somehow I had, I don't know, because I don't know how all this stuff works either. We can guess, base it on a good on your what you know now, but like Steve and I always say, tomorrow we could learn something that throws all that out of the water.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But yeah, that's it. Vivid. Okay, Patriot 1749 says vivid dreams are telling things. Let's see if I can get this up. There's a thing in front of it. There we go. Vivid dreams are telling things. It's messaging. I agree. In a lot of ways it is, Steve, and you've certainly had those dreams, have you not?
Oh yeah, like the motorcycle guy,
Oh
the,
yeah.
the breeze.
Yep, the breeze. God bless him. I'm so glad. And not a word, not a peep, all peace since then.
Yeah, nothing. And that's been what, like 3 years now or something like that.
Oh gosh, at least. At least. Because I think we were on that one for months, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And anytime I think about it, I've just got this, he's just cool as a breeze, man. He's good to go. And that was a collective. If you've never heard that story, that is a humdinger. And it really is a wonderful story. It's in the book for sure. It's in We Are All Children in the Wilderness, the Afterlife. And at the end, I do an outro. It shows you the cover and everything. That's this book Steve and I did. But we had to put that in because it was people who didn't know each other all coming together to help one person that nobody knew. And it was just a lost soul, very much like we're doing with the Titanic situation, I think, Steve.
Yep. Absolutely.
And bringing everybody's intent, thought, and and heart into it together. It's such a powerful thing. I think it could probably just about do anything. Collective consciousness like that is just it blows your mind, especially when it's wrapped in love and real good intent. And I think that's like the key. I don't know. I know you feel the same way. So there it is. That's the Titanic stuff. I cannot explain why every time we talk about it or do something, I haven't seen anything too weird coming through here, but who knows, somebody might watch it later and see somebody walking behind Steve or me or something else, or maybe looking in my cool little castle windows here or something. I keep saying I wish these were my windows. This back here, people have asked me, this is from here this way, all these little ghosts and stuff. I've got my little crispy, I've got my sage, my skulls, my great skulls. I've got my fancy hat. You want to see my fancy hat? This is my fancy hat. There it is. And is she a beaut?
Yeah.
But that's my fancy top hat. But most of this is mine. But the windows and the castle brick back there is not. That's just a screensaver. But yeah, I wish I had windows like that and a big old spell book. Look at that. Looking out the window. That'd be something. But we know a little something about spells and things like that, don't we, Steve?
No, yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. You got a good question in here or something? I see you focusing. I didn't know whether I missed something.
No, I was going back and looking at some stuff on the Titanic. I found a better article about what happened at the museum there, and it's talking about the curse of the Titanic.
Oh God! Hit me, baby. Wait a minute. Where's my sage? Let me get the sage. Go ahead. You keep going. I'm going to sage this whole thing.
This was in The Guardian, UK. Visitors to U.S. Titanic Museum injured by replica iceberg, and the little blurb headline thing said the Titanic curse. Yeah, the first line: the curse of the RMS Titanic has struck again. This time, not in the middle of the North Atlantic, but the Titanic Museum attraction in Tennessee. An ice wall representing the iceberg that caused the unsinkable ship to sink in 1912 collapsed on Monday at the museum in Pigeon Forge. It goes on. It gives a lot of detail about it. That the iceberg wall currently does not exist, but they're going to build a new one. It was made of real ice that people could touch. It was grown and regrown using a water filtration system.
What?
Pigeon Forge Police Department said the incident appears to be accidental. The museum is conducting its own investigation. They're going to come looking for us. Let's go.
They're looking for us. Oh my gosh! Hide. Oh wow! Woo! That's crazy, man.
A little more detail. It just said 3 guests were injured. Those were taken to the hospital. 2 more with minor injuries, and they didn't know the extent of the injuries. So, but yeah, like it calls it the curse of the Titanic has struck again, and that's probably about what we were saying at the time. So we were talking about the curse specifically when that happened.
Yeah, that's
your cat or my neighbor's cat? That is.
You hear him? That's Mr. Dickens. Mr. Dickens, you'll come up and say hi. Come on.
My neighbor's cat, Mouse, does that. He'll sit and look in the window at me and do that sometimes, and I'll have to let him in.
You got to come. Well, come over here. Well, what's the matter? You see something that's going on? Come on. You can say hi. Okay, you can say hi. All right. Come on, say hi to everybody. This one's the man right here. He protects me. Okay, now you gotta lift up. Ready? Look at my. You went up here, but you went up here in your own way. That is Mr. Dickens. He's my buddy, and he's mean. But I always say, sleep with a cat. You won't have to worry about haints. Right, buddy? You say hi to Steve? Say hi. You're getting all blinked out. There he is. That's Mr. Dickens. I love you. Okay, it's not night time. Come back in an hour. He tells me when it's time to go to bed. It's like he's my life coach. He says stay home, take a nap, catch a sun ray, eat a little something, get a little drink of water, back, take a nap. Best life coach I ever had. But, hey, Sue, I'm glad Sue made it in here.
Hey, Sue's here.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy, and I hope everybody is well in that accident. And you know, again, when Steve and I get together, I don't know what it is. It's like, just it's not a clash of energy. It's a combination of energy.
We're paranormal troublemakers,
Yeah, and I think my people get with his people and they cause all
instigators.
kinds of stuff, and they know we're going to pay attention and they know we're going to do something about it. So, when you connect in like that, stuff happens. So, we would promised, Sue, you missed the video, but catch the thing. I think you'd really like it to see it. We're all talking all about the Titanic stuff and everything that happened on the thing with Jeremy and the light beam and everything else. But we're gonna keep on doing this. We'll have it every Monday Madness. I think we'll have a little update. We can on the stuff and where it's going. First and all that, and we will keep everybody's information as safe as absolute possible. Right, Steve?
Yeah,
Just via
yeah.
emails and stuff.
Just do it anonymously as possible.
Yep. And, so it's going to be great. I think it really is. I think it's time. And if the veil really is thinning and, it might be time because we're getting a lot of this, I think. I'm getting a lot at the shore. If you think about how much stuff happened, we've always talked about moon wreckers and moon cursors and stuff like that. And can you imagine how many, just standing on the beach and looking out, how many people back and forth and people going to the beach and family outings and all kind of occurrences. There's so much there. The water remembers the jetty. We have these great big black rocks. I've always been, they remember, they absorb this energy, and it's very active right now. I think everything is getting active. It's almost like maybe there's an exit, opening up, or a portal opening wider, or a connection or dimensions coming in close and overlapping in some way, and they know this is time. So maybe that's why they keep telling us, yeah, do it, let's go. I don't know. But we'll see as it goes on, and we'll get everybody's input on it and everybody's ideas. And I think it's wonderful. And it's all Steve. Steve had the idea, so you can blame him. It's his fault. But you had mentioned last time we were going to call this, I called it, I forget what I said, witch bottles and woo woo or something. But you had a little story about something like that. You want to give us a little story, and then
Yeah,
I'll
I
give
had,
mine?
what was this? Witch bottles, spirit jugs, or witch jars, spirit bottles, and something else.
Yeah.
But a witch jar, it's kind of an unhexing or a rehexing type thing, where you can put a curse back on somebody that's put one on you. And there's some YouTube channels where like guys with metal detectors have dug one up and not realized what it was. And I'm sitting there watching, like, no, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it. And of course, the guy
Nope.
opens it.
Oh.
But a lot of times there's human waste in there. There's pee in there. Sometimes blood, teeth, hair, all sorts of nasty stuff. Nails and stuff written out. And again, that's they would do whatever their intent was and then bury that jar somewhere.
Right.
And that was how the spell was cast.
Mm-hmm.
But just a fascinating subject. Then the spirit bottles, that's where there was a belief that you could capture a spirit, an evil spirit or otherwise, in a bottle and put a cork on there, and it couldn't go anywhere. But then I don't know what you would do with it after that. What if you broke the bottle or something? And I was watching one of those ghost shows one time. It's like the Hillbilly Guys. I don't remember what the name of their show was. And they had captured something in a bottle, and they took it out in the woods and blew it up. And I'm like, I'm not sure that'll work. I think that just probably released it and pissed it off.
Man.
But let's see if you had any stories about anything like that. And that's
Well,
something that witches do to one another. So you see where I'm going to this, because I know you got caught right in the middle of a big witch fight one time.
wow. And that's why it was kind of an inside joke. I did the cover art tonight, like we're in front of a haunted house taking a selfie with Crispy. Crispy's all duded up to go trick-or-treating because again, Crispy does not know he's a ghost. He doesn't know he's dead. He's just a cute little ghost, and he tries to help other other ghosts. He just doesn't know he is one. But that's his backstory. But he's all dressed up, and he's got a little mask on, his little trick-or-treat pumpkin. And the reason I did that is because my story kind of goes around Halloween. And it's kind of long, so hang in there. It's anybody, show of hands, don't mind a kind of a long story, because it goes from beginning to the end, and it all comes together. So I am in Alabama, and I'm working at a floral place there, and a lady kept coming in, and we got to know each other, and we connected first on herbal cures and things like that. I did Native American, I still do, and a little bit of Chinese, and really any wisdom, because I believe all wisdom doesn't come from one place, you know what I mean? So she had some cool stuff too. So where I'd say I'd use like mullein for a poultice for a sprain on an ankle or something like that, because it takes the swelling out and pulls the pain out and gets everything back together, mixed with other stuff. She would be using it for that, plus something else. So it was really cool to, bounce ideas off. And she tells me, we get to know each other a little bit more. She was more of an acquaintance. And I started to go over her house, and she lived in this great old, used to be a plantation house, a smaller one. I'm sure she lived in a smaller, the big plantation thing was gone, but the property was still there. She was having problems with some ghosts of slaves who had been there and didn't know that they were dead. So she was trying to gather some people together that had different gifts and different sensitivities and stuff to try to see if, we could talk them through, at least try to keep them from causing all kinds of different stuff around there. And what she was using really wasn't working. It was kind of pushing them back, but not helping. She didn't know how to go that far. Okay, so we start talking about, I'm like, well, what are you doing? Because I'm going to use Native American stuff, and just my intent and my heart, and and that kind of thing. What are you doing? And she said, well, I'm a descendant of Madame Laveau. I'm thinking, okay, uh-oh. I'm like, uh-oh, because I know enough to know that voodoo isn't always bad. Santeria isn't always bad. It's again, it's your intent and things like that. It depends on how far you go and what direction, right? And hoodoo is really the bad one. So I'm learning about it and things like that. And the cool thing that she was doing too was she said, I'd like somebody from different backgrounds and different beliefs to come in and bring their stuff all together, a lot like we're doing for the Titanic, and help this one woman because she is under what's called a blood curse. You know what that is, Steve? It's like a bloodline. So it goes from generations.
Sorry, I had my mic muted,
That's
but yeah,
okay.
it's just like a generational curse that it follows the bloodline, like the old stories of a werewolf or something like that, or vampire. It's the same kind of thing. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect your children, your children's children, and so on, and other
And
family
so on.
members. It spreads out.
Right. And she had tried 3 times to get this attachment off of her because it was a blood curse. It was powerful. Okay, it had been hanging on for generations, like Steve just said, and she was having a hard time, so she wanted to get everybody's stuff together. Now, in my belief, through my elders, the first thing you ask them is, if somebody puts something like that on you, what's the best way to do it? And they said the person who put it on needs to take it off. Usually, that's the best way. Get that person to take it off. And if you can't, sometimes it is very difficult. Depending on who did it, what it is, there's all, so anyway. She gathers a bunch of people, and I thought it was really cool because she's doing her voodoo stuff, and which basically had the woman in a circle, and she drew some things with cornmeal, and in hers she would do an offering to the spirits. So there was some things there that, it was just like some figurines and things like that. It was nothing scary or anything. It was just religious to her, and honey and whiskey, and then a big pile of cornmeal. And this is all significant here. Watch. So the lady is standing in the middle, and she says, what I want you to do, my job, was just to go around the outside of the circle with my sage and eagle feather and some other stuff and salt and throw down, because when she was trying to help this woman, it was almost like the slave ghosts, okay, who, if you think about it, they're going to bring in, oh gosh, what's it called? It's tribal out of Africa. I can't remember exactly what it is. But their stuff, and they would get stirred up and come in and try to stop what she was doing and actually connect in with the evil that was, what this woman was going through. And then there was 4 other people there, and one was a Wiccan. She was a green witch, mostly kitchen witch. You know that. We've said that a lot of times too, Steve. And other people like that. So basically, my thing was just to hold off the negative, and I felt strong enough to do that while she was, doing her thing. Well, this woman, I mean, the stuff that came out of her, I can't even tell you. And I was trying not to really pay attention because I don't want to be distracted and then break the line, So it was intense. It was intense, and it took all of us together to do it. And finally, we broke it. Okay, which is awesome. So we came there to do. This woman was just sweating, and I mean, it looked like they pulled a tapeworm out of her. I swear, it was awful. So I knew you'd like that part.
Yeah.
But anyway, all done, all good. And then I look, and the cornmeal and the honey and the whiskey gone. Gone. And I'm covering that circle like, a banshee. Nope, nothing was getting in or out of there. And the stuff is gone. And I'm like, woo, like not the tapeworm coming out of the woman, but the stuff being gone through me, right? So that was cool. Anyway, we got to be trusted to helping each other as a group, right? And helping people like that. So the next thing that starts to happen is she tells me, now it's coming on Halloween. It's getting close. It's beginning of October. And she's going on a vacay. She's going to Louisiana. She's going to New Orleans to visit relatives. And get juiced up again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So she wants me to stand in. She works at this little metaphysical store where you can buy all kind of stuff. And she had a little room back there. And she had clients that would come in and say, I got this or I got that. What do I take for it? Herbs all around. And I understood the herbs. I said, I don't understand the hexes. I don't understand the other stuff. I don't want to deal with that. They'll have to wait till you come back. But the herb stuff I got, that's cool. So she takes me to visit this woman who owns it. Now, I walk in and she didn't hiss at me like the last one, but she kind of she didn't like it. And I didn't, I had like a little resistance of her energy as well, because I'm like, she's, I'm going to just say, I think she was a left-hander. And left-handed, and it's done. That's how powerful. They've practiced so much, they just, and it's done. So, I was cool with her. She was cool with me. And she said she's going to stand in for me and all this. And I'm like, okay. 2 or 3 days later, she says, I also work at this other store doing the same thing in a different part of town. Will you come sit in here? And I'm like, sure. If it's helping people, great. That lady she had a couple things missing. I don't know what it was, but she was also, I mean, she was just, her daughter was kind of like, it's just her energy was just, it was like looking at her like this. So, to my eyes, to what I was picking up. And everything was kind of cool with her. I go home. I'm minding my own business. It's the week before. It's 3 days before Halloween now, and she's getting ready to go in November. And all of a sudden, I've got this old flip phone. I get these voicemails on my flip phone, and it's chanting bullshit. Bullshit. I throw the phone down, I go get my stuff, I put it on it, and end that right there, right? And I call like 3 or 4 different, I call Wolf Woman, I call my medicine man, I call these people, I'm like, banish this, because you nip it in the bud, I didn't know where it was coming from. I leave her a message, and I tell her, they don't seem too happy about me doing this. I don't want to do anything that, is going to upset anybody, blah, blah, blah. A week off isn't going to hurt these people. If they have any problems, they're welcome to call me. I don't want any money. I don't want anything from this. There's no reason for these people to be upset, right? And the next thing, I get a voicemail, and this is what it says. And this is exactly how it sounded. It's so cold.
Wow.
It's cold. Tell her, get it off. What? How many? I've got like 23 messages on this old flip phone, and they're all the same. It's so cold. Tell her to get it off. Get me out of here. Tell her. I'm getting all these. It's the same guy's voice. Real far away sounding. What the fuck is this, right?
Yep.
So I try to get, I'm like, who is this? Who does it have to do with? So I pull myself together. I get a couple of people together, and they pull it, and they go, this is a guy that's connected with this woman, this the woman that I was helping, right? Not the other two, but this is a guy that's connected to the woman. Meanwhile, I go down to visit her, and I'm like, look, listen to this. Does this sound familiar to you? And she's just listening. He would call you. Who would call me? She's saying stuff like this. And then she says, well, the 2 women are real upset I'm leaving, and they both want you to be a part of their shop. And I'm like, all this is behind my back. I have no clue. So now they're battling. Tell them both. I said, no, let's end that. There's no reason to battle. I'm not going to work with anybody. Just end it. Cut it right there. She says, it's too late. They're already in a war. What? What? So I go personally to talk to these people because it's much easier to handle face to face, right? I mean, honestly, chat, right? So I go to talk to this one woman, and now this time I walk in, and she does do a hiss, except it wasn't her. It was like she was standing at her table. She never moved her head, but something with a face turns and like away. All right, so her head is standing, and it was like another face turned and looked at me and hissed, which is often what you find when you walk into these 2 energies clash like that. Yep. So whatever was with her didn't want me there. And I'm like, that's all I need. I'm backing out. Everything's cool. I'm not coming here. Don't worry about it. We're done. There's no reason to have any kind of issues here, And I just backed out, got my car, and left. I go to see the next one. I can't find the building, Steve. I can't find the building. There was a dog costume place, and I knew the thing was a bakery, a dog costume place, and this place. And I'm driving, and I know where it is, and I can't see it. And I could even see the flags, like, those plastic flags that are in different color, and they put them on a string to get your attention at a business. Mm-hmm. The flags were there. There's no building. There's no building. I'm driving, and I'm going around, and I'm like, I can't find the building. So I call my friend, and I said, look, man, did she move? Did they knock the building down? What's going on? She goes, oh, she's got it cloaked so you can't see it. The other one's got a cloaking a spell on that, so it's invisible to you, so you could go work there. And I'm like, okay, wow. That's it. We're done. Call this off, shut them down, be done with this. And then I get another call on my phone. It's the guy again. It's so cold. Tell her to take it off. All right, we're finishing this. We're finishing this. It's Halloween. It's Halloween day. I go to her house and I said, "Who is this guy?" "It's my ex-husband." "What?" "It's my ex-husband. He would come to you because he knows you're going to do something about it. He knows that you're going to have that intent and come here and try to talk me into, and I'm not taking it off." And I said, "Well, tell him here, he's in the phone. Call, do whatever you do, but tell him this is between you and him. I don't want to be involved in it." "And what do you mean? Where is he?" She says, "I put him in the unseelie fae." Excuse me? I put him in the unseelie fae, which is what they call, what we would call in between purgatory, the dark between, whatever, the stuck in the middle kind of thing, which I hear is very cold and dark and very unpleasant. And so I've been told. And so anyway, he keeps it up. He keeps it up. And so this day was it. You know, I told her, you got to. I said, "Well, all right, tell me what's going on." She said, "We have been together through many lifetimes. We've been husband and wife. At one time we were brothers. At another time we were this." And he's got so much of, she had another word for like karma. That I wasn't familiar with, but that's what it meant. She explained it to me. She said that this, every lifetime he winds up killing her. And because they can't get it right and they can't work through it, they have to keep coming back and going through it again and again and again. And she said this time she had it because he chased her around the house and cut her foot off with an axe. She takes her boot off, her cowboy boot off, and shows me that half of her foot, so from her back knuckles up, was gone. And he had chopped it off with an axe, and he was in jail. But while he was in jail, he was practicing the stuff that he knew, and he was finding a way. Oh, jeez, sounds so crazy. He was finding a way to put his energy into one of the guards and come and get her. So she gave him something that sped up whatever it was that he had, and he died. And when he died, she stuck him in the unseelie fae. And I'm like, "Well, why? How did he get my number?" I promise you, I'm not making this up. How in the hell could I make this up? So I'm sitting there, I'm talking to her, and I said, "Look, I can't keep doing this. I mean, you got me involved. I mean, I'm involved in the middle of a fight at Halloween with two left-handers that they're your friends, right? What you got, baby?"
Oh, Carol was telling me to wake up, but I was actually watching for a delivery. I got something expensive coming, and I don't want a porch pirate to get it, so I'm watching the truck.
I don't blame you.
I'm sorry. I wasn't asleep, though. I was just looking down.
So, so that was it. So we sat down and really talked to her, and I said, "Look, this has got to stop. I want out of this. I mean, I don't know why you picked me, but I'm going to try to do the guy justice. At least you can go in there, maybe you can get him and put him someplace else and not sign the contract with him. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but you got to stop this." She goes, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go in and get him. Or you got to help me." So we got the circle back again, which is why I told you about the before. And I said, "Look, I will not be involved in anything negative. I refuse, because it messes up your whole everything. You know, you're holding off slaves so they don't get involved to help this woman who's been cursed 6 generations back because her, I want to say great-great-grandmother maybe, was a slave who was raped and tortured by her slave owner, was pregnant, and they took the baby. He killed the baby right in front of her, and she put the curse out, and it somehow backfired and cursed them both. So the guy was cursed, and the baby was cursed, and she was cursed, and that's what was on her."
Jeez.
So be careful of your words, people. I'm telling you. So she makes me a bargain. She says, "Well, as a Halloween present to you, since I drug you through all this crap, and you got invisible shops you can't find, you got chanting on your phone, and you know all this. I mean, the sage alone, the cost of sage alone was astronomical. I promise you, sweet grass and lavender and black salt and all this other." So she says, "I'll do you a favor. We'll go in. I'll go in and get them. But I want you guys here to make sure I don't get stuck. So you got to help pull me back out." And I'm like, "Well, what are you going to do with him when you get him out?" She goes, "I'm going to put him in a bottle." So what? I said, that's worse. She said, but if he'll be out of there and he'll get to choose. He gets to choose where he will. I'm like, okay, fine. It's none of my business. That's between y'all married folk. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here to make sure nobody gets backed up with anything. You know, that's all we were doing. And I watched this woman. I have pictures somewhere still, and she's going in, and you can see half of her is like you could see through her, like half of her's gone. You know, I have pictures of myself that's done too, but I'm usually doing something good, you know. But so you're kind of half here, half in the spirit world, half not in the spirit. It's incredible stuff. So her and I and a couple of the, you know, the good friends that we had were standing around just trying to keep her from getting stuck. She goes in there and gets this guy. She goes into the Unseelie Fae, meets up with some really bad dudes apparently, comes back out, and now she's given this guy a choice. You can go inside this beer bottle. You can go inside of this. You can go. It's his favorite beer, she said. Go inside of this whatever or box. And apparently he chose the beer bottle. I can't even believe this happened. She comes out of the circle, so there's a fire in the center of the circle, you know, just like a powwow circle. And the flames are making all these pictures, like a chief, I mean, with the feathers, it made an eagle. I mean, all these different things that the flames are making. We had all these pictures of really crazy stuff in the flames, you know, but you try not to pay attention. You're there to do a job, you know. And we were just trying to make sure she got out okay. And I wanted the phone calls to stop. So she goes and she pulls herself out. She walks outside. We break the circle. She walks outside, and this was all on her own. She stands by the side of the lake. And she goes like this. She puts her hands together and she pulls them apart, and there was a smoke that came, like almost an electrified looking smoke that came from her palms, like this she did. And then she went, and all the smoke, like Genie, like the I Dream of Genie, this smoke goes right into the bottle. And she had a cork laying there. The cork comes up, goes into the bottle, and she goes up and stomps it with the foot that he chopped in half. Yeah. Takes the bottle, puts it in a box, wraps it with the chains, puts a lock on it, and throws it in the lake. I never got another phone call.
Wow.
That's my witch bottle story. And that's crazy. So if you find something like that, stop opening the bottles, people.
Yeah, it's like that guy I watched found one with a metal detector. He's like, oh, there's all kinds of stuff in here. There's nails and looks like teeth and bones, and like, don't open it, don't open it, don't open it. Of course, he opened it. And then he found out later what it was. I don't know whatever became of him, but yeah, don't mess with stuff like that. Stuff, especially if it looks like somebody's done it with a very specific purpose and intent, leave it alone.
Leave it alone. But, you know, that's so close to the jinn. You know, because now if you know, don't be mistaken, the jinn is actually what we've made it fun with the genies and all that, with I Dream of Genie and Barbara Eden playing that, and then we had the genie in Aladdin. That was so fun that, you know, Robin Williams did for Disney and stuff like that. We think it's fun. Jinn is nothing to mess with, and I don't like messing with any of this stuff. I don't do anything negative, because once you do something negative, it comes back on you tenfold. You know, when you do something, you know, good, it comes back on you threefold. Now, where's that rule book? I don't know. But I can tell you, in a lot of different beliefs and a lot of different crafts and chaos magic and all kinds of other stuff, it's basically, I think that's one of the reasons we grew up to hear, like, the good witch was pretty, but the bad witch was ugly. Because it takes a drain on you, you know. And then there's stuff in other... you know, I've been taught all kinds of things Native American wise, and as well as, you know, metaphysical and from mediums, and, you know, we've all learned all kinds of stuff on how to put good stuff around you, even like that bubble that just bounces off negativity. I've tried that at work. If you guys have never tried it, try it. I mean, you're going into work and you got that negative person that's constantly always coming up and doing this. Before you go in, you just envision yourself in this golden bubble of, you know, and if you want, you can pull it from your own divine light inside of you and just make it envelop around you, and just say no negative can come past this bubble, only positive, only positive. You just repeat it and lay your intent down. And I've actually tried that at work, and I had this one lady come up to me, and she always had this negative stuff to say about everybody else and all that. and it's just a downer, a real, energy vampire kind of person. And she got up close. When she got about 2 feet in front of me, she just kind of lost all her words and got dumbfounded, just turned around and walked away without saying anything. I'm like, my God, that works. But that's just it. It's your intent. It's, what's going on. Now, do I feel sorry for this guy? Sure. And he wanted to get out of the cold. And that's horrifying to get calls like that somebody's hurt and you don't know who it is and they need help. I mean, I hear kind of stuff like that all the time, but I don't have a lot of ghosts leaving me voicemails on my phone and then telling me to tell her to get it off, and I'm like, who's her? I had to figure all this out, and this all happened at the same time. It was crazy. Crazy. Yep. Put her husband in a bottle. And because she said, I'm not going through this again. He'll kill me this time. And I have to keep repeating this over and over and over again. Now, how nuts is that? But think about it. Mm-hmm. What if that's true? What if we're here, to try something out this way to see if we can raise above it and raise your vibration higher, right? Or, go out in higher frequency. And to hear her talk about it, like the real heartfelt things that she was talking about, she's like, I'll never have a chance because he's never going to get it right. He is my anchor. She goes, I'm going to have to pay for what I'm doing now. But the penance of the how did she put it? The penance of this lifetime, I will be able to work off and she used her word for karma of that. But if I have to keep repeating it with him, I'll never have a chance. She said, I've been doing this for lifetimes, and the horrors he's put me through. And I just, well, girl, you be you. I don't know what to say. What do you say to somebody like that? I mean, it made sense, but, again, you don't want to be a part of something like that either, which is why I walked away. But I walked further enough to see that thing go in and the cork go in the bottle and her foot go on top of it. And I was like, wow. So I don't discount very many things. I've seen some shit.
Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, and we've all seen some stuff in here. Patriot 1749 is saying, the gin... Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. This one. The gin is different than a genie, is it? Well, if you're talking about the kind you mix with tonic, yes. That also comes in a bottle. But no, gin is ancient. I believe that the gin is a trickster. Very, very wise over the years, and is one of those, say like if you watch The Twilight Zone, there was a, I don't know if it was a djinn or if it was what, but the guy that kept thinking you could have 3 wishes, and they kept trying to outthink him. Yeah. And every time he said, I want
classic djinn story.
Absolutely, and it would get the thing would get
lose
wasted.
No matter what. It's like dealing with the Fae. Mm-hmm. They're using word trickery and things. You're always going to lose.
Mm-hmm. So don't make a bargain with the djinn. It's like making a bargain with the a devil. It really is. But so that's the thing. It's very much the same. The genie is and it's spelled funny too. It's Djinn, and the only reason I know that, I have Rosemary Ellen Guiley's book here on the jinn, and I'll tell you what, that woman did some research. I think she did a lot of spirit writing to put out the amount of books she did before her tragic death of cancer not too very long ago. I believe we're in about 2 years from that. Rosemary Ellen Guiley did a lot of wonderful work. Her book, let me show it here if I can show without knocking everybody over. If bats start flying out of this thing, it's okay. They're friends. Okay, here we go. This one here. Oh, Harry's gonna fall over. Okay. See, can you guys see that? Maybe.
Yeah.
Hold it still, maybe you can see it. There, Ghosts and Spirits, Rosemary Ellen Guiley. It's a nice thicken, as we say back in the South. But, yeah, and it's the Encyclopedia of Ghosts and Spirits by Rosemary Ellen Guiley, and this is the 2nd edition. And she's got one on just about everything. And you can look through here, and they'll tell you all about the different different things that she's found in a very wonderful life of research on this stuff. So if you're interested in it, I'm sure you can get that, on the internet for sure. But it's worth getting because in there she also explains about this, because what happened was when we started doing the Desert Storm and fighting in the Middle East and all the troops started coming back, they were buying things at these little shops. And it might be a ring, it might be a box, it might be all kinds of, and they were
Be
bringing
anything
back.
can have an attachment. Yeah.
Yes, yes, because that's what was happening,
Well,
and they were bringing
I
it.
heard a really interesting story about an American that went to work in the Arab Gulf over there. I can't remember the name of the place there. But anyway, he
Okay.
kept having all these weird things happen in his apartment. He'd rented an apartment. It was in the Emirates, and something was blocking the air vent, like in his living room, because he could tell it wasn't as cool in there as it was in the rest of the house. And he had some weird things going on. And he got up there and took the cover off that vent, and there was a box in there, and it was some kind of gin in a box or something that somebody had captured and put in there and left behind. And it was still, even though it was in a box, it was able to cause some minor troubles. But then when he opened it and let it out, then he ultimately had to move because it went nuts.
Hmm.
You
And
ever
it's
heard
hard to
anything
get
like that?
off.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine. We often talk about, and the people, like I said, that are much more gifted and more wise than I am, will tell you that, it's almost impossible to fight something ancient. Just you got to get away from it and break it off. And, like you might have, like, to have to get multiple people together to do something like that, like maybe a chaos magician, or
yeah,
and a male um you know witch, or and then an exorcist, and have an exorcism on the house and the land and the person, and then move and have all your stuff blessed as you're moving it. I mean, it's a big deal. So I highly recommend. I say this every time I think about it. I try to warn people that you know the best thing to do when you're getting a house, if you feel funky about it, don't move there. Just don't listen to your intuition. And if you don't have that, you don't trust it, right after your real estate agent leaves and shows you, say, look, I need an open house tomorrow because I'm going to have a couple mediums and psychics walk through here and get me a feel of this thing. Because if you do that, it's so much easier to get some other place than to move into a place that you don't know, and then a month later, your dogs are spinning around in the living room, and you got stuff being thrown at you and writing on the wall, and pictures are upside down. And I mean, I've done it myself. I talked myself out of moving to a house that turned out to be a real humdinger, because we
mhm,
needed it. We were in a hurry. It was available. It was a nice school. It was, all those things. And I talked myself out of my gut feeling, and I regretted it because somebody had hung himself in the garage and was very angry. And I think there was something else in there that probably played on that person and broke them down till they took their own life. That's what I think. I mean,
yeah,
to the point of having glob, kind of, it was more than a mist. It was a solid black, cannot see through it, break through the light, light behind it you wouldn't see, thick, nasty, just energy that would just move down the hallway. And it had a purpose. It was going after my kids,
yeah.
and I didn't know. They had been fighting it. They were fighting it in their own way. But when I got on it, and I couldn't understand why all my pictures in the hallway were upside down and knocked sideways, and I just thought it was my drunk old husband coming home and not being able to walk straight down the hall, But you talk yourself out of it, and I think that's, like, if you learn anything from this show, learn this: don't talk yourself out of your gut feeling. Please
Right.
don't.
Indeed. Don't second guess that gut feeling.
Yeah, I've never heard this word before. Have you, Steve? Have you ever heard this one from Chris Jarvis?
It looks Arabic.
Is it can get rid of a jinn? Can you explain what that is, Chris? I don't know. I would be guessing at this point. because I've not heard it. But yeah, I think it's really funny. Like, I watch a lot of Nuke's Top 5. If you like ghost story stuff, well, it's not really a story. It's like ghosts caught on tape and stuff like that. And people that see things, paranormal investigations, or on CCTV or whatever. But it's Nuke's Top 5 on YouTube. It's great. He's got a great personality. But I find it's funny, something I never knew. With like paranormal investigators in like Asian, or I believe it's more China than Japanese, but I could be wrong there. They believe that if cursing at a ghost will keep it at bay, right? And the Middle Eastern people seem, and brave as all get out, because these guys go in alone into these places that I'm just like, are you out of your mind? What are you doing? But they pray the whole time, to back it off. But they're running at it as they're praying. So I don't know what's going on. But I just think that's so different. Like different places, they deal with the different ways. And why does it work? You know what I mean? Why does the different stuff work? I guess it just depends on what you're, fighting against. Like they say, is it Japan that has the hungry ghost, Steve?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's in Southeast Asia anyway.
Yeah. So there it is. There's my witch bottle story. I hate telling that one because, man, I felt so sorry for everybody
Hardcore.
involved. Yeah, I felt sorry for the slave ghosts the most, and that's why I went in there to say, okay, I put my foot down. I will only do what's good. I will not be involved in any of the negative. Everything you want to do seems to be good. And then the next thing you know, I'm in a battle with witches on Halloween, and people are putting their husbands in beer bottles and throwing them in the lake. So that was a hell of a Halloween, folks. I'm here to tell you. You know what I mean? Everything else has been kind of a disappointment since then.
I can understand why, though, after that.
Yeah, that was a trip. But, again, like Steve said, if you find something like that, you dig it up. Don't go digging it. Just bury it back. That's the best thing to do, because, you hear all this stuff with the divot box and stuff like that. And that's another word. I believe it's a Jewish word for demon. Yeah. And, and the first thing they do is they want to open it and see what happens. Stop messing with stuff you don't understand. I mean, I knew
It's
enough
like
to
trying to
back
pet
out
a
of that.
rattlesnake and see what happens.
Exactly. And that's the thing. As long as you go at things with love and light, and you try to attract that, and understand when you do something bad. Everybody wants to, a curse could be as little as, like Steve will say, the old wives' tales and the old superstitions and things. There's usually a lot of truth to those, and one of those is don't speak ill of the dead. And I really think that one story I told a couple weeks ago about the man was just reading the newspaper, and the guy was close enough to him where he actually cursed him and attached him to himself, So words have meaning. Writing things out has meaning too. That's why it's called spelling, and, all this different stuff. And you hear about, things like that. So I think maybe, we want to be careful with our words and being angry. I think really most of the time, you want to be angry and yell at somebody. Most of the time, people you hate don't know it and don't care. You're just hurting yourself. Who was it that said it wishing somebody ill or hating somebody is like drinking poison expecting the other person to die? That's kind of true. So if you stay up on that level and you try not to get too, drawn into doing something like that, because it does have ramifications and repercussions. It really does. And look at that one lady, 5-6 generations of people just going through absolute pure hell. And it took probably 11 people were there that night to help that another stranger get through that. So that I thought was pretty good. And the cornmeal disappearing and the honey and the whiskey and everything else when nobody was near it. There's definitely stuff out there, guys, and we certainly don't pretend to understand any of it. Not all of it, because I think we've just scratched the surface, Steve, and we've been doing this combined almost 100 years between us. Almost.
Yeah,
and
at least.
We don't have a clue what's going on. We can't tell you why that iceberg came down, and I really think that if nothing else, combined with the stuff that happened with Jeremy when he was talking about it, and that shaft of light with all the spectrum of color coming through, maybe,
That was weird. I mean, just
yeah.
no explanation for that. And it looked like something was trying to manifest over to, I guess it was his right,
Hmm.
left screen there too,
Hmm.
before and after the light. It looked like it tried to come back in. It started to glow a little bit there, but it never could materialize or manifest like it did there, where it was just that bright spear of light.
Hmm. And it had a prism on the top of it of color. I was looking at it and I
Hmm.
was just like, and I didn't feel like anything was bad coming out of it. It was almost like attention, like what he said, like pointing at him, like, yes, that's it, because he was talking about the Titanic and how much he wanted to
Yeah,
help with this and how excited he was to help with it and anybody that needed help. Jeremy is a wealth of information on the tech end of things. Like he was talking about, he even took like a what do you call it, a Geiger counter
yeah.
to a thing one night just to see if that was something, So we're in good hands there. He's got a lot of friends. I'm sure there's people in here that are paranormal investigators that would love to put their 2 cents in and help us analyze things and get some help. I think it's a great group to do this, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys like the video. You can go back now anytime and look at it because it'll be here on YouTube. And, you know, look at here. Yeah, it's been a hard road, honey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I started having my first experiences when I was around 3, and then started looking into it in earnest when I was like 6 and trying to find books and things about it. So that's 52 years for me, and I'd say Cisco's about the same or maybe a little
Hmm.
more.
Hmm.
So yeah,
It's
it's
about
over 100 years
47.
between us. Yeah, so we're close to 100 years.
Actively seeking answers, basically, let's put
Yeah,
it that way, because I wasn't walking around with an EMF meter when I was
yeah,
6,
yeah,
but I was asking questions and trying to figure it out, and I certainly was seeing stuff before that. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's just that's been our quest. Steve and I have always wanted to you know just seek answers, and sometimes I find out the answers and they're not too pleasant.
yeah.
Some things are not
I'm
always
more
good.
about the questions now. I want to find more questions
Yeah, like
because
what's
there's a
going
lot more
on.
questions than there are answers.
Well, we certainly got him here, Steve. I think every time we get together, something happens. So if some good
Something
can come from
strange.
this, some good can come from this. I mean, they didn't kick over an iceberg for nothing. I mean, that's just, it's too much of a coincidence, and I
Maybe it's
just don't
just
believe
trying to
that.
get our attention. Hey, we need help.
Exactly. And you know what? The fine people in this chat and you and I and anybody else that comes through this, because you can almost imagine how it's going to grow, because it's going to draw good people, I think, and if it does draw somebody bad, we'll know it, because I know some really good people that are good at that. So, yeah, absolutely, that's one thing we've learned a lot about over the years, Steve. We've met some really good people that have become our friends, and everybody's got a different gift, and it's really beautiful. And it's a collective of all these gifts, and everybody does
Yeah,
a little different,
they're like
but
specialists. Like if you're having kidney
absolutely.
problems, you go see a
Yep.
nephrologist. Same
Right.
thing. If you're having demon problems, you go see a demonologist. You don't go to somebody that handles something else.
Right. Right.
That
Right.
it's not a one size fits all thing. There are people, like you said, with specialized gifts and things that they know specifically about.
Hmm.
There are people with a broad general knowledge, and there's people with very specific pinpoint knowledge about certain things, and that's the ones that are good to have
Yeah.
on your Rolodex or your
Yeah. And it's
speed dial
funny.
on your phone.
Absolutely, because I'll just take, sometimes there's things happen where my world is crashing around and I need answers, and usually we can't do this for ourselves, so we have to reach out. And I'll just take my finger over my contact page and just, when I feel that,
Yeah.
it's like a
You know,
little
that little
tingle,
twitch.
and
Yep.
I'll drop it down and I'll look and I go, really, that person? Okay. And I call, and darn if that isn't something that they never told me that they do and they're really good at. So I mean, I don't even question it anymore. We're being guided by something, um, you know so much bigger than us, and really I think it is us. It's a collective of us and all the energy and everything. So we're going to do this, and hopefully, like I said, nothing else too weird happens, but we don't know. We'll see what happens. We get that coal. I'm just glad I'm not the first one to get it, because I have a feeling I'm going to need my energy for the end part of this. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, Grandpa C, welcome in. Oracles and Beyond. We've had so many people popping in here. Hi, Grandpa C, I love you. So good to see you. Hey, it's Sir Brian Bowden. Oh, wait, he's saying something about Titanic. Let's see what Sir Brian's got to say here. I caught the Titanic exhibit at 42nd Street a few years back. The empath side of me was going bonkers, but nothing was as strange as the woman and man, two different areas that were in period costumes. Well, see, there you go. There's one of my buddies, and he actually saw some stuff. Brian has got, he's got some good juju, and wow. So there's that. So now that we're talking about Titanic exhibit at 42nd Street, no telling what's going to happen there, Brian. This is your fault, Brian, if that happens there tonight. So
Yeah, indeed.
we already put our disclaimer up. If
Yeah.
some ice starts dropping over there, that wasn't us this time. Of course, we're joking, and you know it's a serious thing. But you know you got to laugh through stuff like this because that's a great vibration to be. Before we go tonight, you inspired me, Steve, and guess what I pulled out?
What
You
did
got to
pull
see
out?
this. See my my little magic box here. Can you see that? Ah, Tales of Halloween.
Tales of Halloween.
But
What
it's
what
not-
do you have in there?
It's a box. Looky here. I thought I would show you my cards.
Ah, okay.
Now, this was gifted to me, and of course, Native Americans believe that anything is gifted. You don't buy yourself something like this in Native lore. It's gifted to you. That person picks it out for you. And this is what I got. Look at here. Can you see these beautiful cards? These
Yeah.
are Native American. They're called Shaman Wisdom cards. You can see
Awesome.
that.
Cassie, Oracles and Beyond was just asking if you
Yeah.
read cards. Well, there you go.
There you go. And they're beautiful. It's all nature. Of course, all our stuff is nature based, you know, and everything. And it's got, you know, it's got all the different animals. There's the crow and the raven, as you can see. So, and it's got all herbs. There's, you know, metaphysical stuff. There's quartz crystal. You see that one a little bit better, maybe right there. Let's say it's quartz crystal, and then you have like your sage, and each one, much like Steve was saying, there it's better. Much like Steve was saying, this will. It pretty much tells you more of your connection in to the earth and nature and you know the elements and things, but it also somebody again wiser than me explained to me that you need a deck that has both like yin and yang, good and bad, because you have to go through the bad. Shamans will tell you, and I am not one, but I know many, and they will tell you you've got to go through the bad, you got to go to the negative to get to the good in their world, and you have to deal with that stuff. So I think that tells us a little bit about ourselves too inside. You know, we've all gone through the bad stuff for ourselves. We've all come out of it on the other side wiser. You know, some of us might have more scars than others and a little bit of a, you know, checker past or whatever. But we learned from it, you know, and if you don't do that yin and yang, you're not really getting a good balance, you know. So that's why these cards here, they're absolutely gorgeous. And I thought that maybe next week, Steve, we can maybe pick 3 people and you pull one of your cards and I'll pull one of mine and we'll see how they balance and just see, you know. 'Cause
Yeah,
I think,
that'd be great.
yeah, I think that it would be really cool because since everything seems to be really electric right now and everything seems to whatever that thinning is or whatever,
Yeah.
it might be a good time for people to get a little boost of, you know, hey, like their little mile markers along their journey, and you know, that a boy or that a girl, like you're in the right spot, you're doing the right thing. I think being in here in this chat has got to feel really good because everybody in here is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, Jesus. Absolutely. I mean, I love all of that. And I do believe, you know, he's always been my best friend, even though I haven't always been his. But I'm telling you, like Steve said earlier, a lot of people will block and say, oh, that's this or that's that. Listen, a lot of wise people have come before. And like I said, all wisdom is not found in one place. But you better have the right tool if you're fighting something. And like I said, you don't fix a Mercedes with an egg beater. You better have the right weapon with you and within your divine spark to fight stuff. So, you know, I mean, that's where I stand. And I'll tell you, if I'm walking into somewhere, I bring all my big guns with me. I bring the howitzers. I bring everything because I need as much protection and help as I can get when I'm doing something like that. So
Indeed, indeed.
that's how I feel about that. Okay, Steve, you got anything you want to add to this lovely chat? If I missed anybody, Todd Brown,
I
Body
think
Void.
we got everybody covered. Sorry, I've been distracted. Like I said, I've
No,
got
that's
some
fine.
expensive video equipment showing up, and I don't want it to
I
disappear off my
don't want
porch.
you to miss that
So I'm
either.
watching the truck. It's like
I'm
10
gonna run my
stops away.
ticker. Now
9
I'm
stops
going for
away.
100,000 now. It looks like I fixed it and it went back again. I don't know why. Let's go for all this stuff. Listen, it's
That's
been amazing.
1,000,000. That'd be a
Yeah,
million.
I know,
So
it's
right
wrong.
on.
It's wrong. But at least you remember. If you wouldn't mind, like and share. If you can share this. If you've got pages on your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever, and you've got like people that are interested in ghosts and paranormal and good guests and good people that talking wonderful things, please share it on there. We are at, I think, 889 at the beginning of the show. So we're what? 11 away from 1,000, Steve? Is that
Wow.
correct? Would that be true?
That's what I'm seeing.
Wow. Look at that. So thank you all so much. Thank you to all the new subs. I can't thank you enough. It's been a hard road because, like I said, I was in with a couple of radio shows and networks. And, I mean, we were built up like to, I don't know how many, they had like almost 250,000, subs over there. So when you put a show, it really got out. And a lot of people got to see it. And then I had to take all that down, and then I waited a couple years, and then I loaded everything up, and we just started over, and I said, we're just going to do it organic and get those subs and everything. So I can't thank you guys enough for doing that. Thank you, Aunt Edna. Thank you, Just Sub. Thank you so much. Mwah. Appreciate that. And I promise you we're going to have a lot of different people on here. Steve and I are going to be every Monday Night Madness. You never know what you're going to hear from me and Steve. We're going to continue the Titanic experiment. And then usually I'm trying very hard to do Sunday nights at 8 p.m., Monday nights with Steve. But I do have a few people like Mark could only come up with the Mark Shaw with he believes, and I think he did. He's got documentation to back it up. Solved the murder of Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah,
And,
I can't wait for that one.
yeah, that was so good. He was on last Sunday, but he was a matinee. He could only come at that time, and I took it because he had to cancel he had surgery the same day I did. Which is
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it because I know he always knocks them out of the park.
Yep, he
And
does.
I dropped a link in there for a video that premiered over on Missing Persons and Mysteries while we were doing this. It's a couple of stories where a ghost helped solve their own disappearance or their murder, and it's really interesting too. Because one of them you'll recognize from Unsolved Mysteries years and years ago, and then there's one that just recently happened that's almost the same kind of thing. So go take a look at that. I think you'll enjoy it, particularly if you like ghosts and supernatural.
Oh, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Everybody here, me. But because I think they teach us about ourselves, Steve. You know what I mean?
It's like going in a bar and saying, "Who'd like a drink?"
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
who dropped this 20? Everybody in there raised their hands.
That's funny. That's funny.
But,
Susan Woodcarver here said, good vibes here. Thank you. Susan, that's what we try to do. We talk about some pretty scary stuff sometimes. You can't get away from it. Like we said, yin and yang, it's out there. But we always try to bring it back to the power is within you. It's your intent. It's your divine spark. It's your light. And that can listen, it got me through 2 witches fighting on Halloween night, and a guy stuck in the unsealed
doesn't get
fang.
any better than that.
And all I had was sage and eagle feather and little bare feet and red hair and my intent, But it's so funny. But and it really isn't, because there's a lot of stuff going on like that. I mean, I can imagine in the world right now there's a lot of negative being slung at people. But don't you do it. Don't you put your bubble around you, and you just rebuke all that stuff, and you just stay you, and you stay strong. And I love you all. And next week we'll see if we can pull a couple of cards for 3 people. We'll have an update on the Titanic. This week I believe I have my brother Bill Bean, who is one of the spiritual warrior from day one. The faith in this man, oh my gosh, hear his story. It's amazing. Sometimes he has to cancel because he's doing more exorcisms and stuff right now than he can shake a stick at, literally. And so sometimes he has to put off. But we're going to see if we have him Wednesday night, and so I can give him a hug. I haven't talked to him in a little bit, so that would be great. And we're just going to keep on going. I thank you for the subs. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for allowing me to present that video, but I thought it would give everybody a nice visual of what we're doing. And I'll tell you what, the orbs at the end, I had tears. But that I can't stop thinking of that, and I think that's just so sad. So let's go collect some of those lights and see if we can't get them into the light, and it would be a beautiful thing. Thank you, Steve. Anything you want to tell them, where to find you?
Yeah, I'll be on tonight at midnight Pacific time on 13 past midnight for my Ghost Stories show. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to be on with Cassie, Oracles and Beyond. We start at what time, Cassie? 7 or 4 Pacific? I don't remember.
Okay. Anybody knows that?
I assume I'm invited back. I was over there last week.
It's when you're so busy, you're busier than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, Steve.
Yeah. And then Wednesday, Jim and I will be doing something. I think she's wanting to read some more cards. We read cards over there last week on her channel Wednesday night. Thursdays, I don't have anything. Yeah, 4 p.m. Pacific on Oracles and Beyond tomorrow night. Okay. And then, of course, Friday, Campfire Stories. Going to have a good one this week. If anybody would like to come and be a guest on Campfire Stories and tell some tales, send me an email, stevestockton81@gmail.com, and I'll put you on the list. We're using StreamYard like this now. It's so easy. I'll email you a link. You just click on it. You can go in with a laptop, PC, even a smartphone. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. You can just give it permissions through your mic, and then we can hear your voice, and you'll have avatar up there.
Outstanding. That's wonderful. Seeing so many people finding ways to reach out to other people, and then they reach back. So everybody in the chat here, I get strength from you guys. Thank you so much for being in here. I've seen so many new names, and I thank you all. I don't take it for granted. Thank you for leaving the comments later on. If anybody wants to see the live chat, I don't know why this is, but it seems to take 24 hours for the live chat to come back to the show. Like, they'll post the show as a replay, whatever, but it takes about 24 hours for the live chat to come in. Go through that and scroll through, because I miss so much. I'm trying to catch it. I'm getting better, but if I did miss a comment or something like that, it certainly wasn't on purpose. I love that y'all talk amongst each other too, but we get such good wisdom from you guys, and it wouldn't be a show without you. It wouldn't be a show without you. Grandpa C, I love you, darling. You hang in there. Everything's going to be all right, baby. And everything's going to be all right for you guys too. Just remember, put positive out, positive comes back. And if that negative tries to get in there, you just stand your ground. You keep putting that positive out, because you'll break it, and it'll start coming back, and you'll start that attracting that positive too. Manifest positive, manifest a positive future. And if not, at least people will think you're crazy and leave you the hell alone. So there's my advice. I love you so much. I love you, Steve. You're my brother. I have a little outro here too. For everybody.
And I'll see everybody later. There's a couple I didn't get to say hi to. I'm sorry. Edna, Grandpa C, Body Void. Anybody else I missed, I'm sorry. I was just, like I said, I was distracted tonight. But thanks for being here. Double what she said. I'll see you a little farther on down the road. I'll talk to you then.
Love you all so much. And there's a little outro here. It's Stephen, my book, and you can get that in ebook. You can get it in paperback. And I'll tell you what, it's a good positive book it's got scary stuff in it, but there's always a positive ending to it. And, it's just, I'm very proud of it. And so is Steve. So if you want to check that out, it's there. And thank you so, so much for being here tonight. See you all next Monday. And in between the week, we're going to have some pop-up shows. So love you all. Be kind to one another. Keep your closet door shut. Keep your feet under the covers, because there are things that go bump in the night. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Love you all.
Love you, love you.